one of the issues that's not solved in the whole stack that you're doing, that I uniquely see where I am in the Cayman Islands, is our banks hate anything to do with crypto. And it's not because I have a political opinion, it's because of FATCA. It's all of the US KYC rules means that they're terrified of accepting money that they can't KYC properly. Meanwhile, in Switzerland, I have a relationship with Signum Bank, and Signum's fantastic, but they do on-chain KYC. So they can check, it's just a new way of doing it. We need KYC, the on-chain KYC, to get acceptance into the banking system for international. The US, they can do whatever they want, but for international payments, because of US rulings, it's actually really hard.
Yeah, what I would say is about 2.5 years ago, we made a real bet as Moonpay on what's the future of this ecosystem. And, we had a very, very serious, like most new evolutions start from purely libertarian principles, right? Like this will replace that. And most mass adoption occurs through convenience and it's more messy, right? One of the bets that we made, and I think was really important to our maturation as a company, was we bet that for crypto to truly evolve, it would have to evolve in sync with the global financial ecosystem. And what that means ultimately is that licenses and, the money transmitter licenses being MiCA compliant, being FinProm compliant, like making sure your KYC and AML is like as pure as possible and as clean as possible was unbelievably important, right? And that's what set us into our journey to make sure that we have what's the equivalent of the golden stack in the United States with, all 47 MTLs. You don't need all 50 because there's 3 states that, allow for it to work. But getting the New York license and money transmitter license a few weeks ago, all really important. Being MiCA compliant. We were the first company to be MiCA compliant. We were FinProm compliant in the UK. That is going to be where the rubber hits the road, is what you said, which is how money enters into the ecosystem and how money exits the ecosystem.
Because particularly the EU, the UK, and the offshore jurisdictions are terrified of the US regulations, and so they just reject everything. That's half the reason the UK banks won't take crypto, is this.
Yeah, and I think it's a maturation globally of making sure everyone comes online. The one thing that I feel good about is whether you agree with, US policy or European policy or UK policy. The one thing I'm thankful for is at least policies being established, so we understand what the rules of the road are. I will say that the way that the U.S. tends to operate from a regulatory perspective and the way that Europe tends to operate is completely different, right? The U.S. tends to say, we're going to allow you to experiment and innovate in chaos until we tell you what the rules are. And Europe tends to say, we're going to give you this box and you have to innovate within this box, right? And then maybe we'll change the rules to accommodate where the innovation goes after the fact, right? And so there's this point where both have to meet in the middle somewhere, and that just sort of takes time. And we saw that also with the internet. We saw that, Europe was far ahead of the US when it came to GDPR, right? And the US will catch up with that, right? Because we started to see it with CCPA and some other regulations around privacy over time in traditional media.
So you obviously like this video enough that you've got to the end. That's quite a big task. But listen, do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe button, and also check out what video's next, because I think you'll love it. But if you want even more, and when I'm talking more, I'm talking about member-generated ideas, incredible alpha, research, everything there to help you in your journey, just head to realvision.com/join for the best financial intelligence out there and the pure alpha that's within the platform.